Today, we're talking about celebrating culture. When we're under stress, we tend to turn to sources of support that are familiar, especially those that give us a sense of our lives having meaning. So celebrating our culture at times like this is very important. Whether that is an everyday activity like cooking traditional foods or holding birthday parties or attending spiritual practices, whatever we're doing, those types of things give us a certain sense of, well, being grounded, of being more resilient. These practices lift our spirits and give us hope for the future. Today, on Clear's 14-day Resilience Building Challenge, I'm very pleased to be joined by Poo Priya, a Thai actress and model with an international following, and best of all, a global ambassador for the UNHCR.
Hi, so nice to speak to everyone. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Now, today we're talking about culture and things that keep us rooted to our families and our communities. So I'm just curious, Priya, how is your culture important to you, especially during these particularly difficult times?
Well, it's very difficult for me because, Thais, we're very family oriented. We like to have big family dinners. We have a lot of time with our family. A lot of people still live with their families until, they're a lot older. So during a situation like this, people had to make so many changes. But for me, I've been separate to my family. And one of the hardest things is I miss them. And culturally, I'm not used to being so far apart from them. I'm not used to not being able to visit my grandmother, even because I used to go visit her all the time. And now this won't be possible for a while. So, it's hard.
Right. And I'm curious about, because our culture, we know our culture through those small practices of everyday things that we do. Are there special things that you do with your grandmother or with your other parts of your family that really, I sense, lift your spirits or just make you able to withstand stress a little bit better?
During this, I think what's helped a lot is I'm a practicing Buddhist, but I've been meditating for years. Something that my mom practices, my grandmother practices. We chant, we pray, and we try to live within the present moment. That's Buddhist ideology. And during this, what I found extremely helpful was to be with the present, practice your breathing, meditation, calmly work through it. It helps me a lot, and I do that every day.
Wow. And is this something that was passed down to you from your family?
Yes. I used to sleep in the same room as my grandparents until I was 17. And we had a big family with my grandparents, my uncle, my aunts, like 10 people under one roof. And my grandmother used to chant and pray every night for bed. She would practice breathing exercises, meditation, and she passed it on to me. So.
And I'm curious, at a time like this where social distancing is being, encouraged, how have you managed to maintain sort of a sense of intimacy with your family?
Well, Zoom calls, FaceTime. I've been alone in my apartment for 6 weeks now, since March 13th, since the lockdown in LA. And because of, obviously I won't be able to fly home for a while, and I'd like to be responsible with that because it is a risk. You can bring it back to my country. So staying home is something that I have to do and I'm getting used to, but the only way I keep in touch is through FaceTime, Zoom. My grandmother is figuring out how to use FaceTime. We're not getting there with Zoom yet, but she's okay with answering FaceTime. It's good to see her, yeah. Mm.
More generally, though, I'm curious also, as someone who does travel the world and sees lots of different cultures, are there particular ways in your family that you do special celebrations, whether it's birthdays or certain times of the year? Are there things that sort of really bring something, a certain specialness to your life that sort of stand out for you?
Well, in general, for birthdays, for me, it's merit making. I believe that we were born on this earth with a purpose. That this birthday is the most special day because it's a day which you were born to actually create and do good. So on my birthday, we do merit making. That's something we do every year. Either we do blessings with the monk, we go to orphanages, we go to our local charity, dog shelters. I do it every year. I also do it during Christmas too. So any time of giving, I usually do, my whole family does. It's a time of giving. Celebrations is for giving.
That's really interesting. And these cultural traditions do ground us and remind us of our values. Could I put you a little bit on the spot and ask you, are there traditions or other parts of other cultures that you've seen through your many travels around the world that have sort of sparked your imagination or that you particularly enjoy?
Ramadan, especially this period. I mean, I work with UNHCR, so many places I've been, whether it's Jordan, Bangladesh, Syrian border. It was very interesting to see their culture, but at the same time, Ramadan is about reflection, just like what we're doing now. Reflection, contemplation, giving, family. So it's very special. And I admire Ramadan a lot. I admire the effort and contemplation that goes through they go through with fasting. And, you know, yeah, I love it. It's great. Peacefulness. Yeah.
I hear that theme very much in your life. If, you know, a lot of people are listening to this conversation and thinking about their own cultures. Do you have any particular advice or other things that you've learned that sort of you would say to them about, you know, maintaining your resilience, staying strong, or indeed even coming back stronger from an experience like this that reminds you of, you know, things that you've learned perhaps from your grandparents or others?
Well, for me, I think this experience has changed me so many ways because I worked with UNHCR for so many years. I've been to many, many, many refugee camps for over 5.5 years. I've met people who have lost everything, who are stuck in a camp, who can't go anywhere. But yet they come out not only resilient, compassionate, kind, and hopeful. Most importantly, hopeful. And I never understood that. I thought, how could someone lose their identity or lose what they're familiar with and still come out as hopeful? How? You know, and I never understood it until after sitting down and thinking, spending all this time in isolation with the uncertainty, I finally understood that with a lot of uncertainty, you learn to cope and become hopeful. You realize at the end of the day, when I go to all these camps, I've met all these people, they say, all I care that my family is safe. That's all I care about. If they're safe, I'm okay. And I used to think, wait, but what about career, job, self-worth? All these things are important because, you know, that's all I care about. I go on all these flights all year round. I fly to fashion weeks. These are things that I value as my self-worth. But at the end of the day, what your self-worth is actually family, safety, health, mental health. The four main things.
That is so wonderfully said. That's all the time we have to chat today, but Freya, huge thank you for doing that. And all the best to you and your family.
Yes, you too. Stay safe.
So just to summarize, whether it's an everyday activity like cooking traditional foods or finding ways to celebrate birthdays or connecting with your spiritual practices, all of these family and community traditions in a time of stress like we're experiencing, these are important ways that we stay grounded, stay resilient, and indeed build hope for the future. Today, try planning an event to remind yourself of the importance of the traditions that you enjoy, or maybe think of ways to discover more about someone else's culture, or even better, share your own culture with them. Find out more about today's exercise on CLEAR's website. The link is on our profile bio. All the best.